Some huge news. In fact, if I were one of the boom guys, I'd say boom with a bunch of O's after it in obnoxious capital letters that takes up like 5 to 6 lines on social media platform X just to get as many eyeballs looking at my post as possible. If I were one of those boom guys, I would say boom. I would put boom in the video title because this is absolutely going forward. Look at this headline from Reuters. SEC paves way for crypto spot ETFs with new listing rules. Folks, this is what we have been waiting for all the people who said that there's still something shady going on with the SEC not approving our XRP spot ETF. And I said, no, politely shut up. That is not true. That is not correct. That is absolutely not correct. What is very clearly happening here, and this is fine, it's my speculation, but I believe it's grounded safely in reality, is that the SEC, and they had kind of signaled this in no uncertain terms. They said that they were moving forward on specific guidelines. All they were trying to do is get some guidelines out the door so that when they're analyzing any future ETFs, it's by the same measuring stick. That's effectively it. And so, yeah, there's been delays because they had to get this on. And by the way, crypto's not the only stuff the SEC is dealing with. So now that it's not under the rule of Supreme Leader and dictator Kim Jong-Gensler, now that Mr. Burns lookalike is the hell out of here, let's cut him a little bit of slack. It's not the humans in charge now are not the humans that made our lives a nightmare for the last half a decade, okay? It's different humans in charge. They're fixing the train wreck, okay? Everything's going to be all right. So give him just a few seconds here, but XRP spot ETF is going to get approved, and this could not make it more clear they're moving forward to ensure this can happen, and tons of other ETFs as well. So I'll get you all the specifics here. But yeah, look at this. SEC paves way for crypto spot ETFs with new listing rules. That's from Reuters. But before going further, Telegraph covered this as well. The piece reads as follows. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has approved standards that could speed up the spot crypto ETF approvals, as each application would not need to be assessed individually. And folks, that is true. It will speed this up, but that's not the reason. That's not the primary reason that I'm excited. Yeah, it'll speed it up. But this will make it actually, like, it's going to be done. They were waiting for this. And so even though the whole rigmarole, the whole process that anybody filing for a spot XRP ETF, that's already been done largely, and I'm sure there'll be some tweaks before it finally gets approved, or I would suspect anyway. That's true. But even so even if those filers won't get the benefit of this, we were still waiting for this at a minimum, because they weren't going to go ahead and approve anything unless they knew exactly what their position was. That's the adult responsible thing to do. This is what happens when you have good faith people at the top running the SEC. This is completely different than the previous administration. Piece continues. The decision detailed in SEC filings on stock exchanges like the NASDAQ, NYSE Arca, and CBOE BZX on Wednesday would streamline the process under Rule 6C-11, significantly reducing approval times, which have taken several months in the past. By approving these generic listing standards, we are ensuring that our capital markets remain the best place in the world to engage in the cutting-edge innovation of digital assets, SEC Chair Paul Atkins said in a separate statement. And here's another quote. This approval helps to maximize the investor choice and foster innovation by streamlining the process and reducing barriers to access digital asset products within America's trusted capital markets, end quote. Let me ask, does that sound like somebody who's trying to make sure that XRP doesn't get approved for a spot ETF and is trying to ruin XRP holders' lives? No, it does not. It never made logical sense to believe that XRP wouldn't get approved. I will be shocked. And if I have to eat my own words, fine. I am about 99.9% sure that the spot XRP ETFs are going to get approved. And not only that, there's a very high probability that it's going to happen this year, perhaps sooner than later. Maybe even October. We'll see. Anyway, it comes as spot ETF applications for the likes of Solana, XRP, Litecoin, and Doge await official approval. The SEC was facing deadlines from October onwards to decide on those cases, in addition to a handful of others, including Avalanche, Chainlink, Polkadot, and BNB. The development was viewed as bullish by many industry pundits, including Bloomberg ETF analyst James Seifert, who said, "This is the crypto ETP framework we've been waiting for." He expects a wave of crypto investment products to launch in the U.S. in the coming weeks and months. So, folks, that would be this year. And it's coming at the time where you would expect that XRP is likely to be going insane. Like just because of the way that the market is queued up right now and teed up, the whole thing's going to go. We're waiting for the Russell 2000 to go. I was talking about this in my very last video. That son of a bitch is going to start going. You're going to see a total 2 start to go. XRP is going to be one of the top beneficiaries from all of this, and this will be fuel to add on that already very bright fire at that point. It's just going to be one more thing. And it's not just a news headline. Yes, it is that, and that's good just even on its own to whatever degree. But this will materially impact the amount of XRP that's bought. I mean, think about it. In the short term, spot XRP ETFs, it could result in sudden bursts of buying pressure and spikes as liquidity gets absorbed. Now, of course, I'm even more interested, as I always say, in like the longer term impacts of this over a span of years and decades, because the amount of money flowing into XRP as a result of this, it's hard to overstate just how much that's going to be. It's going to be truly substantial. Anyway, piece continues. To be eligible for listing, a crypto spot ETF must be a commodity that either trades on a market that is part of the intermarket surveillance group with surveillance access, or underlies a futures contract listed on a designated contract market for at least 6 months with a surveillance sharing agreement in place. And I believe, I can't remember if I said it in this article, but I believe Coinbase is one of them. Anyway, alternatively, and by the way, there are XRP futures on Coinbase. Alternatively, it may be eligible if it is already tracked by an ETF with at least 40% exposure listed on a national securities exchange, the securities regulator said. An exchange will need to submit a rule filing for the SEC when seeking to list and trade crypto exchange-traded products that do not meet the approved generic listing standards. And then you have this. Remember Crenshaw? Caroline Crenshaw, one of the Democrat commissioners over at the SEC, who voted to bring the lawsuit against Ripple and make our lives living hell. Why are they still, like, even in 2025, they are still voting with ideology? I don't know, like, crypto is not by nature partisan. For some reason, these people are making it partisan. The previous administration made it a partisan issue, and it doesn't get them votes even. Like, they don't even benefit from this, and it just crushes personal freedom, but still that's the way they want to vote. Like, it's basically a Democrat Party platform, and this shouldn't be partisan. It should not. Now, what you do find is that the younger Democrats typically are way more likely to be pro-crypto, and I say credit where it's due, but most of the party is not that young. So I don't know if we have to wait for them to age out of this stuff, but, I mean, look, if you fast forward enough, it's just going to be obvious, like both parties, let enough time pass, get the younger blood in there. Everybody's going to be like, yeah, of course, it's crypto. Like, what do you mean? Why would we ban this? Like, why would we make it life tough for people that hold crypto? But it's not like that now. One party's pro-crypto and one isn't, and it just shouldn't be like that. Just stop acting like that. So here you have this. SEC Commissioner Caroline Crenshaw expressed concern over the new listing standards, warning that they could lead to a market flooded with products that haven't been fully vetted for investor protection. Folks, XRP's been around over 13 years. Shut the fuck up. Here's her quote. The commission is passing the buck on reviewing these proposals and making the required investor protection findings in favor of fast-tracking these new and arguably unproven